Whatever is holding on within us, whatever within us that holds on, even holds on to our greatest realizations, whatever that is that holds on, when that gives way, then we experience a whole different kind of freedom. It's not a freedom of touching upon reality or touching the face of God, if you like that metaphor. It's not that kind of freedom, even though that kind of freedom is profound and amazing. It's the freedom not to be confined to any of them. So that whatever particular view is necessary in the moment is the one that shows up. And you have no preference about the one that shows up. You don't feel compelled towards or away from whatever perspective shows up. There's just an absolute sort of fluidity to it. And so it's not then that you've found a greater, more majestic perspective, which is a lot of what spirituality tries to do for a great amount of time. But it is ultimately about completely relinquishing even your hold on to the greatest realization. Then there's this extraordinary fluidity. There's this freedom from feeling like you have to be in any particular state. And that's even more free than permanently being in a great state. That makes sense? Because every state of being has its limitation. Every single state of being has it. The more constricted we are, the more profound the limitations are, and the more painful they are. But still, every view has limitations, as long as we're confined to the view, to whatever the view is. Then it's a complete redefining of our whole sense of truth and reality. Then truth isn't defined by a particular shift of consciousness from one into another. As important as that is, that's no longer the definition of truth then. Because there's something deeper. There's this absolute fluidity of truth and reality. There's this inexhaustible way in which reality can display itself. You can have 100,000 of the most mind-boggling insights you can imagine, and you will not even become close to exhausting what reality can become because it's infinite. Because it's infinite. And then there's truly nothing to hold on to. And also there's nothing to get rid of. From the ego, it's all rather disappointing. Because there's nothing to hold on to, right? Because there's no arrival in the way that the ego had it all figured out. The arrival is an eternal arrival. That's probably about enough. I'll try to explain that one for the moment, but maybe you get the feel of it. And this was also to tie it back into what I started with when I was, with my father for those 5 days or so beforehand. I had been teaching on this and reflecting on it for quite some time. But when I was with him, it becomes very clear what the moment calls for. And, when someone needs that much care, you darn well better be fluid in terms of your view, because they might need you to be something at one moment and something completely different at the next moment.